There's how people think about me who know me personally, and there's how people think about me in the social realm who don't know me personally and who have an idea of who I am, which is often very different from the reality. But naturally, as a human being, I care that people understand that I'm a certain way, that I have a certain character, that I actually love jokes and silly bathroom humor, and that, I like stupid movies, and that I'm not always, reading heavy philosophy. My wife can tell you all about this childish side of my personality. So, it's always been important to me to feel kind of authentic and sincere. And I've always hated, and it's probably why I wrote the 48 Laws of Power. I hate people who are pretending to be something that they're not. Deeply, deeply wounds me, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's been like that since I was a child. Maybe I suspected that in my parents, the kind of falseness that upsets me deeply. And so I wrote the 48 Laws of Power because I felt people are such hypocrites. They pretend that they're not interested in power, but that's all they're interested in, right? They wear this front like, oh, I just want to help people. I just want to make movies and culture and art. No, you're interested in power. So it's always been deeply important to me to kind of reveal what's really going on in someone and to sort of feel that way about myself. So when I don't feel like I'm myself, when I feel like I'm faking it, and sometimes, to be honest with you, Jay, being a kind of quote unquote self-help guru, it feels false. It doesn't feel like who I am. I feel like a bit of an imposter. It's not really what I wanted to be.
Can relate to that.
I just wanted to write books. I love ideas. I love thoughts. I love expanding my consciousness, right? So the feeling that I'm not being who I am and that other people are kind of glomming onto that is upsetting to me.
Yeah.
People's perception of you can almost become how you perceive yourself if you're not careful.
For sure.
And so that's why I keep coming back to myself and going, is that really who I am?
Yes.
I don't think so, Robert. And also, I actually I'm a flawed individual. I'm a flawed human being. I have, blind spots in my nature. I have compulsions that I wish I didn't have. And I don't like this idea that people think I'm this powerful person who's figured everything out, because I'm not. That's why, I wrote the book, The Laws of Human Nature. It was because I understand that I shared these same flaws, that I have narcissistic tendencies, that I too can feel envy, that I have moments of grandiosity. So I'm not comfortable with the idea like that I'm this somebody that I'm not, that the perception of me is. But that's what happens to a lot of successful, famous people. They become trapped in what other people are thinking about them. They become trapped in that image. And I honestly think, I could be way off base, but I'm thinking of somebody like Anthony Bourdain, who committed suicide. I think he was burdened and weighed down so much by how people thought of himself, and it wasn't who he was. And it kind of made him feel deeply uncomfortable. Now, I'm sure there were many other issues going on, but a lot of times it can make you uncomfortable in your own skin, the way people perceive you, and it can lead to deep feelings of depression and a loss of who you are. Kind of thing. Life isn't like that. It's weird sometimes because before the 48 Laws of Power came out, I was just this nobody living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica, rent controlled, never really made any money, never really had any success in life. And I was constantly giving people advice, but nobody would listen to me because I hadn't written the book. And suddenly the book comes out and I'm supposed to be a different person. It's very strange, but I'm actually the same person that I was when I was living in that miserable 1-bedroom apartment, and giving out my advice that nobody listened to. Now people listen to it, but the only difference is because suddenly I have this credential, which is very strange. I've always liked old books myself. So, I read a lot of books of philosophy, etc., history, but I also read books of famous Zen classics. The 20th century books, I'm not so sure, but I'd read like something from the 11th century where the thought process is so different, but it's timeless, it's human. Man, it is so beautiful. It so sparks these ideas that he or this writer, this thinker, was dealing with the same things now, 1,000 years later, but they still strike a truth. But it's in this language that's very weird and primitive and barbaric. I don't know why that excites me so much. It's the same idea that a modern writer might write, but put in the words of somebody 1,000 years ago, it suddenly touches me.
Yeah.
Can you explain that, Jay?
I mean, I don't know if I can, apart from the fact that you've reincarnated and you had some connection to it, but can I explain it? I can't explain it, but I can reflect on it. I mean, I find that there's a part of it that writer or creator may never have known if anyone would ever read it.
Yeah.
And so that privacy and that secrecy and that intimacy with their work, not knowing that it would ever be viewed, seen, read, broadcasted, that has some power to it.
Yeah. There's a humility to that. Whereas now people write, we're expecting all these people to be reading it. We do it for the attention.
Yeah.
It was much different back then. Yeah, that's very interesting. I never thought of that.